Today, you are going to learn how you can write a fraction as a decimal. We're also going to explore how fractions and decimals are the same. Let's look at our problem. On Kelsey Street, 6 out of 10 houses have swing sets in their backyards. Write 6/10 as a decimal. Fractions and decimals can be used to show relationships between numbers. So out of these houses, 6 of them, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 10 total have swing sets. We need to write 6/10 as a decimal, and we're going to use a grid to help. So here's our grid right here, and we have divided it into 10 equal parts. There are 10 houses, so each house is 1/10, or 1 out of 10. So each house is 1 out of 10 is one of these strips right here. So you can look at them. So 1/10 equals 1/10. Because when we do place value, we have our ones place, then a decimal point, then our tenths, and then our hundredths. So if we have 6/10, we have 0 in our ones place, and we have 6 in our tens place. Therefore, 6/10 is 6/10 or 0.6. We have our decimal point right here. So 6/10 of the houses have swing sets. Let's look at part C. In this Kelsey Street neighborhood, 75 out of the 100 houses are 2-story homes. Write 75 out of 100 as a decimal. Use the grid to help. There are 100 houses, so each house is 1/100th, or 1 over 100. So in this grid, we actually have 100 squares. Each little square is 1 out of 100, or just like if we looked at the 0.6 on the right, we have on the left over here 0 in our ones place, we have nothing in our tens place, and we have 1 in our hundreds place. So 75 out of 100 is 75 hundredths, or 0.75. 75 out of 100 equals 0.75, or 75 hundredths. Let's look at the bottom where it says convince me. Would the decimal models for 6/10 and 60 hundredths be the same or different? Use the grids to explain. So if I'm going to do 6/10, there are 10 rows going down. So we've got 1 row, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of my 10 rows are blue now. That also equals, if I do the same thing on the other grid, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the same thing, but this time, this grid, we're going to say is going to be into 100 equal parts instead of 10. So it would be the same as 60 over 100. It's the exact same grid. So 6/10 equals 60 over 100. If we look up at part B, if I add a 0, it doesn't change the problem. So 6/10 would be the same as 60 100ths. Just as if I would draw 10 lines going across this way. Now I know that's not 10, but let's pretend it is. So either we have 6/10 going down or 60 100ths if we count each square as 1. We can also think of decimals in terms of money. So let's look at another example at the top of the next page. Show $2.31 using fractions and decimals. You can use diagrams to show how money relates to fractions and decimals. So we want $2.31. So we have a dollar, which would be worth 1, a dime, which would be worth 10 cents, and a penny, which would be worth 0.01 or 1/100th. So just look down here. Don't worry about the fractions themselves. Now I'm going to explain the fractions. So 1 whole will be the dollar, 1 out of 10 would be the dime, and then 1 out of 100 would be the penny. So if we're going to show it, we want $2. So we have $1 plus $1, so that's 100 out of 100 plus 100 out of 100, plus we have 30 cents, or 3 out of 10 pennies, so 30 out of 100, plus 1 out of 100, or 1 out of 100 up here, 1/100th penny. So we end up with 231 over 100, which equals $2.31. So how can you use grids to represent $4.71? This is what I would do. First, show 4 full dollars. So we're just going to use squares as our dollars. 2, 3, 4. Now to represent the tens, let's draw a rod just because it will make it easier to see. So here's my rod, and we're going to separate into 10 equal parts. Have a rod separated into 10 equal parts, and I'm going to shade in 7 of them. That's going to represent my tens. So far I have 4 ones, I have 7 out of 10, and then to represent my penny, I'm just going to draw, it would take too long to draw 100 equal parts into color in one, so I'm just going to draw one little dot right here. We're going to count that as 0.1, or 1 out of 100. So that's going to equal $4.71. This one with the tens would also equal 0.7. All right, let's look at number 2. Write a decimal and a fraction for a part of the grid that is shown. Well, if I look at the grid that is shown, it is in 10 equal parts, and out of the 10 parts, it looks like 5 of them are shaded, so it would be 5/10, or if I'm going to write it as a decimal, it would be 0.5, or 5/10. Okay, you're going to do problems 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then come show me.